Let's fight. A very good evening to each and every one of you. Let's fight. You got to smash that emoji button, hit that bell for us, folks. You're joining us on the tube, on YouTube. Hit that notification bell, subscribe to our channel, hit that bell, share the live, smash that emoji button, folks. All the good things. All the good things. We're happy that you folks are here with us. Good folks, those of you joining us in the diaspora, those of you who are right here in Ghana joining us, we're just tremendously happy that you. Good to have all of you on the live. You all know how we say it. We on the live, folks. How are you guys doing this evening? What's happening at your end? As Big Uncle Gordon asks, what's happening outside your window? Do let us know, folks. Do let us know. Debbie, we see you there. Debbie Apple, we see you there. Debbie Apple and Efsa Ward, we see you there as well. Listen, Wardine, if I'm not mistaken, please and thank you. Good to see all of you folks who are now joining us from the many, many places. You all join us from every single evening, every morning. Folks, my Lord, wish we had the time to stick the podcast in. Wish we had the time and the resources to get it done the way we really wanted it. We'll be back with you 3 times per day in a heartbeat like that, because that's how we like you folks. Good evening to each and every one of you, wherever you're joining us from, folks. Wherever you're joining us from, we're tremendously privileged to have each and every one of you here. Everett Small. Everett, how you doing? Good to have all of you here, folks. We got you fight card set. It's set. There's only some of y'all missing. Some of the folks missing. We can hold for y'all. We can stay in a holding pattern. We can stay in a holding pattern and ring that bell one more time for all our beautiful folks out there. Ring the bell just one more time for y'all. How was the day, folks? We're dotting some I's and crossing some T's at the back end. If you must. Yep. Now the monitors gone. Just like that. And we lose all the monitors. How are you folks doing out there? We're crossing some I's and dotting some T's. Good to have all of you on the live from the many, many, many places that you all are joining us from. It's such a privilege to have all of you here. Such a privilege, folks, to see all of you folks on the live. Yeah, you all know how we say it. Let's get to it, folks. You all know when we start how we do it. Something to tickle your fancy. Bring you in, folks, softly. Opening the appetite. Good to see so many of you here with us. Who do we have with us this evening? We got Yolanda and Louisa, Angela Jordan, the one and only. Good night to you and the hobby, the entire family. You, Alistair Trotman. We see you as well. Nigel McKenzie. I see Shamila Edgel is here and Deborah Clark. Horace Caldo, the Texan, is in the house tonight. Cheryl Glenn is here with us too, folks. We want to just recommit to some of the things we said last evening. The cybercrime legislation, the lines were changed, so they're not having it, folks. They are not having it. Any expansion to that, they're in disagreement with. They are in disagreement with cybercrime legislation and a couple of other things, folks. A couple of other things we're going to bring to your attention in just a second. You have the cybercrime legislation and the voice president's comment on corruption. The Voice President's comment on corruption under the APNU AFC. Well, as you know, the Alliance for Change had this press conference a couple of days ago, and they wailed into that whole issue there with this Jagabat and Trench Crapo. We were a corrupt government. Look, they got the nerve, they got the nerve, the temerity, the gumption. But we know, got the testicular fortitude. You know how. But take a look and take a listen at these two issues, folks. We're going to revert to these two issues. For those of you who may have missed it, take a look, take a listen. The opener.
The move by the government to amend the cybercrime legislation has drawn criticisms from many quarters. Co-founded the Alliance for Change, Cameron Ramchatan, told a press conference that this is so because of the traction gained on social media. He said that the move by the PPP could hinder freedom of speech and expression.
There must be a cautious approach taken in moving forward to avoid censorship and restrictions on legitimate content. Being aware of how democratic centralist the PPP is, the PPP's criminalization of disinformation can be used against criticism by the opposition and dissenters. It can further cause self-censorship, erode press freedom, and the publication of legitimate opinions.
The issue of cybercrime is engaging the attention of the United Nations. Ramjatan said that the haste by the Attorney General is suspicious, especially since the United Nations hasn't completed examining the issue. Leader of the Alliance for Change, Nigel Hughes, said that the first venture into cybercrime legislation was back in 2001.
It was illegal access to a computer, illegal interception of information, data interference, system interference, and misuse of devices.
He said that the original treaty had nothing to do with defamation.
What the present government is attempting to do is to criminalize defamation. Defamation allows you a civil remedy. So if someone libels you or defames you, you're entitled to go to court and get damages. What the present government is doing is giving a criminal sanction to what in effect was a civil wrong, which you had to go to court. The problem with that is that it now becomes a tool in the arm of the state that will be used to prosecute, stifle, and silence people the government want to get rid of.
He said that the case of Sherrod Duncan was a classic case. He described an individual as a trench crapo. Hughes said that there was a civil remedy for this situation.
But to make that criminal, it means now, one, it gives the prosecution of any of these offenses under the existing legislation a very wide discretion to prosecute anybody. And invariably, this has always been used, as we've seen recently, only to silence people who either criticize the government or criticize the police force.
And he was quick to point out that the United Nations Convention had nothing to do with social media.
The proposed amendments that are being discussed for the new international convention deal with the following: child pornography, child exploitation, grooming, non-consensual release of intimate images, and money laundering. So the version 2 of the Budapest Convention on Cybercrime has nothing to do with social media.
In a television program, Attorney General Anil Nandlal has said that before the local amendment, the government would await the modified Budapest Convention.
That discloses or betrays the true intention of the government when they introduce cybercrime, social media, that they intend to use this to go after the people who they don't like in social media, who are constantly criticizing them.
A statement by Vice President Bharat Jagdeo that corruption during the tenure of the coalition government was the highest ever is laughable, says co-founder of the Alliance for Change, Kamraj Ramjatan.
Jagdeo's derisive comments about the coalition government being corrupt is not intended for the right-thinking Guyanese, who in the main know that that is untrue. But Jagdeo is having huge problems with his rank and file, and such untrue comments will strike a chord with his untutored party organizers and members to regain their support.
He said that Jagdeo's government is integrally syndicated with criminality. He said that Roger Khan, who was jailed in the United States, had said that he had done a lot of work for the PPP.
WPS Clive Thomas had done that long time ago to prove the criminal state of the PPP in Guyana. There is a signal modus of a distribution of resources from patron to client, with state resources from the coffers going downwards. Doling patronage to buy off potential political rivals are also included. And we know the various Judases around the place. But secondly, too, the reverse is happening, where monies are moving up the chain of command in today's Guyana in the form of kickbacks, levies paid to superiors, and purchase for positions. We have what is called unfettered permission to extract resources for personal gain.
Ramjatan said that this trend is seen in the absence of investigations, where the evidence can be found in the issue of contracts to friends and family. Attorney Nigel Hughes said that between 1992 and today, the PPP has been in office for 27 years.
When we start to ask questions about the transfer of assets from the state to private individuals who support the People's Progressive Party, we don't want to make a propaganda out of this. What we say is, let us have the data, let us have the raw information on all the assets of the state that have been transferred to private individuals during the 27 years that the People's Progressive Party has been in office.
You said that within the last month of the 2015 elections, the PPP disposed of 2 oil blocks. This is a period when the government business is confined to day-to-day operations.
There was no public advertisement. There was no invitation to purchase. There has been no criteria provided on the basis upon which those 2 oil blocks were allocated. Those blocks have since changed hands at millions of US dollars, and these were allocated within a month of the 2015 election.
He said that the companies with known track record were excluded from contract.
In the Schoonard example, the company that won the MP tab completely disqualified every single other competitor and bidder for that contract. And 26 companies, including the most qualified, some of the most qualified contractors in this country, disqualified, leaving one company only. And then that company, their bid is about $600 million over the estimate, the engineer's estimate.
Then there was the expenditure of more than $1 billion US dollars from the Natural Resources Fund.
That is no mean sum.
That's huge.
Even in the United States of America, $1 billion US dollars is serious money. Can you identify one significant project that you can see right now in this country that says, hey, this is a significant contract? You could build a railroad between Diamond and Georgetown for less than half of $1 billion US dollars.
That was the opener. Share the life. That emoji puppy. It was an interesting night ahead of us. And that was the opener. Let's touch on some things that are happening internationally. Then we're going to circle back regionally. And then we're back in the 592. You know, I didn't even want to have a show tonight. Before I come on, I was frying the fish. Get and so on. Because this is going to be a historic debate between Kamala, I'm a Trump voice, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, one former president and one incumbent vice president of the United States. And I think, folks, it's going to be a beat down. That is what I think, right? My humble, some of you are vexed me now. Right? In my humble estimation, that's how I feel. That this is going to be a beat down, folks. Who y'all backing tonight? Who y'all backing tonight? If anybody. Do let us know, folks. Who y'all backing? Just in case. Right? Just in case you might see a little pole flying past you. Somewhere out there. Just in case. So this debate is going on this evening, folks. How y'all doing out there, the man? Who y'all backing? That's what I see. Vashi said Kamala. Wendell said backing Harris. Yeah. Ganesh say backing Harris. Oh, Trump got nobody hitting. Next thing, sell out. Carl Smith said backing Kamala. Bantu King says I'm with Kamala 100%. Yep. Look, Leon, Barbara for Kamala, Brennan, Onessa, Carlton, Marcy Agard, Rhonda. I see Julian and Andy Williams. It's all of you. It's all of you. I can hear about you all in trouble. I can hear about Trump. See, he had the biggest audience. All these millions only came to watch him. So we're following it, folks. We want to see what's going down. I didn't find the chips, folks. I was out there frying the chips. Getting the little soda ready. Of course, as I said, this is the first of the presidential debates. Well, not the first for Kamala and Donald. Yep. We had one with Biden and Trump. I didn't like how that one ended. Revenge of the Sith is tonight, folks. It's tonight. I need a drum roll. It is tonight, and we're watching it. Who are y'all rooting for? Who y'all rooting for? Is there a poll? Oh, look at it now. Hey, one person said Trump. One person said Trump. Y'all know y'all able. One. I want to see two persons said Trump. Y'all lucky we can't publish your names. Y'all lucky we don't have the facility to publish your names. Folks said Trump, boy. Folks said Trump. Moving on, folks. Moving on. Trump. Trump. Folks, they said this war between Russia and Ukraine, it's now the drone wars for the ages. Drone upon drones hit Moscow quite recently. Moscow has been returning the favor to the Ukraine. Moscow has been returning the favor to the Ukraine. But the Ukraine got in some shots quite recently and launched its largest drone attack on Moscow to date, they said, at least killing one person and damaging dozens of homes. Yeah, I hate it. I hate war. Hate conflict. A little political conflict gets the blood going, of course. But this kind of war and conflict, Russian authorities have said that at least 20 Ukrainian drones were destroyed over Moscow and 124 others in other regions. Can you imagine that? You know, it's a proper drone. Them boys. For what? For land, for greed, for lust. 124 drones destroyed in other places. 20 drones over Moscow. Yeah. What a thing, folks. What a thing. They said, listen, flights had to be diverted from Moscow. 3 of the airports were closed for hours. Right? Yep, they said a high-rise building caught on fire. And it's in this building, this person who was reported to have been killed in this drone attack met his or her demise and had 3 injuries. I'm fed up of it. I don't like it at all. Right? The Kremlin, hear this isn't done for me. The Kremlin has condemned the strikes. The Kremlin has condemned the strikes. Yep, calling them terrorism. Yep. So much for that, folks. You must pray for the people on both sides. Not the people who actually want this fighting. Not the greedy set. The innocent. You must pray for them. We 18 minutes in, folks, according to the clock at our end here. Well, not the debate start yet. Y'all keep us abreast. One eye here with y'all. Next eye on the debate. So, look, somebody falling around the region. Good, folks. Y'all know y'all able, you know. Y'all know y'all able. So, what's happening around the region? It gets a little sad now. Look, story now. Trinidad, 3 murdered in TNT. In one home, you know. 3. Selena Rodriguez, Marlon Lee, and Malik Lee. All killed. Sad state of affairs. Sad state of affairs. And this is oil economy, you know. Church of God, oil economy, and crime so high. And we've been looking at it. It seems that whenever you have this kind of opulence that we're coming into, these are things that follow. This dastardly act on these 3 persons was in a place called Petite Valley. It's a beautiful area in Trinidad, if I remember it correctly. Right? They were all murdered, shot at their home. Again, this is in Petite Valley around 9:30 p.m. last evening. Selena was found injured in a bed in this house, and she was taken to a hospital but died later on. They said they found Marlon at the doorway to the home, and Malik was found in the yard. All three victims were shot, and police investigation into the incident is ongoing. Yeah, Jesus of mercy. Death and despair. Folks, let me take it easy. Death, the poet says, is It's man's inhumanity to man. Who is that put again? This is the whole thing. You want to hear the one line, folks? You know the whole thing. 3 murdered. One home, Somebody just went in and shoot up everybody. What could have caused that? What could have caused that, folks? Just shut up everybody. Such a sad state of affair. Look what's happening on the other side of the borders now. Brazil said, look, money here now. Brazil went on a raid of some illegal gold mines. It's only we. Not going on any raids. We taking the bribes, sir. Brazil went on a raid of some illegal gold mines. Folks, you talk about pounds, it's not pounds, tons of gold. Brazil says that they stemmed the tide of illicit trade in illegal gold. Tons of gold. That's what they're telling us. Right? They got some rich soil like us in the Amazon there. And them folks, they want to go the right way. Right? So Brazil dealing with them. I'd like to hear some of this. The Americans got to tell us everything. Americans are going to tell the Brazilians nothing. The Brazilians know what is happening around the corner by them. Americans have to tell us 50 million US in gold, evaded customs and duties, etc. Nobody has to tell the Brazilians that. They've been going after the people for themselves. But this is what we have here. Instead of buying people apparently by the ports. I'm not going to say they're corrupt. They're just insane. You remember when that 2 tons of coke shipped to Belgium? And then the photos from the scanner went missing? And the photos were actually recovered. You ever see what? You ever see a still shot? Brazil stepped in. So nobody raping them with their eyes open. And they are aiming at putting a halt to illegal mining in the Amazon. They said that they're targeting a criminal network involving laundering. Listen to this now. Laundering 3.1 ton of gold with fraudulent documents. That was the number I was looking at. 3.1 tons of gold. How much we get robbed? So much of people come here, companies, under the guise of officialdom, they're robbing we too. And then you got illegal mining. You got the people who the government sending on the Amerindian reserves and territory, right, to dig them out, dig we out. Who fighting for us? And listen, at least we could see what the Brazilian authorities doing for their folks. 3.1 tons of gold. Yeah. That's gold for soap. Look at that, falling folks. Moving on. But you all know once we come in the 5 once we come here. Yep. How many of you here already? So we got no place to go. That's why we got making the best. Some of us got a darn place to go. Andrew Griffith, Don Walcott, Brennan, Gan the Spectator. We ain't got no place to go. And if we go, we got to come back. We ain't got nobody put in for we. Yvette, Anthony Silva, oh my God. Imagine if we had people put in for we. This country empty by now. The 14 of us who are here, you had half a person by now. We'd have gone. Unfortunately, some of us ain't got nobody. So we got to stay here and battle this corruption, fight against this nepotism, fight against discrimination, marginalization. We got to stay and fight. Once we come into 592, look some of the stuff we're covering. We can start with some light stuff to bring you all in. And then, folks, some light stuff. Respect and manners. Look some what we saw today. I don't want it to all be doom and gloom. We had to really scrape to get some thing to give you. In the spirit of the U.S. debate coming up, in the spirit of that, we saw, the police. I told you, we got some good folks in the Ghana police who shared the damn life. Some good folks in the Ghana police. everybody. And we saw some involved in this stakeholder collaboration quite recently, painting road signs and you name it. You name it. Look, we got a problem in this country now, right? Well, we got problems in this country. Let me just put it right. We got problems in this country. We got to start in things, the maintenance, the consistency, the longevity. That's where it comes at us and comes at us fast. Maintaining it. Some places you go, things are always spick and span. South Carolina, North Carolina. I've been to some places there, the hedge always, all the trees are of a certain height. Then people don't give the land a chance. You know, we attend to these things every now and again. As the spirit tech we, you're going to paint a road sign. I'm commenting the work of the Ghana Police Force in this instance here. But these things should be routine activities that are done. You know when somebody visiting, you get a foreign dignitary in this country. Then you see the hustle and bustle, flags going up, roads being swept, and you say, hey, somebody come. It's true guy needs fashion. True guy needs fashion. But congrats to the ranks who are involved in this. Is a number of places we saw this happening. I want to say congrats. Again, it's not all doom. We got some folks doing a good job. Doing a fantastic job. And we want to recognize it. Also, as we're in the police force, we saw the what the thing is called? The cup pack. This is a scouting aspect of it. The cup pack, teaching our young people. What's fascinating here, in this report we saw them teaching our young people, this Ghana police force, introducing them to the history of our indigenous people. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Listen to me. We got things we can learn. Well, y'all not got, I mix up. From each other, from each other's culture. My life would have been poorer had we not had a good routine curry. Life would have been so poorer for us. We didn't have some good pottery system. It's all of that coming together, that cultural heritage from each other that makes this country such a fantastic place. You always just see politics is spoil everything in this country. Our young people being introduced here to indigenous culture. Fascinating, wonderful thing. So much we can learn from our indigenous brothers and sisters. So much. You're in the heritage. You're in Heritage Village. I had a fantastic time. Something got into my wife. She says she can try the Tacoma. Yeah. I was so happy to see her supporting like that. That's in a very personal way. She was supporting in a very personal way, folks. Moving on. Y'all come up my business, man. Shucks. Y'all do track to me. Pace and power to Yeshua Hudson, I think. Do I have it right? Yeshua. We've been following some of this. I like how the votes coming in. 5 people back in Trump. Forward ever. Backward never. 5 people back in Trump. Based on the polls. Overwhelming landslide back in Kamala. Pace and power to this young man. Look, I think very, very soon, right, we'll have a different kind of leadership in this country, which is very, very welcome. Yeshua Hudson from Queen's College, 14 years old. Yeshua write his subjects in third form and beat it out and let them know. Write his subjects English A. No, some of you, I don't like that at all. Right? He had ones in EDPDM, English A, physical education, general mathematics. We can show you all some maths that them maths in tonight. He wrote principle of business. I like that. No, this is a different route, right? In lots of instances, congrats to him and his family. No doubt they put in the work and they get the reward now. He's young, that's number one. And the parents could have said, stay in school, you do a little C-second son, go on to Cape. They said, no. He don't get a head start already. Straight to UG. He's going to now go and commit himself to some computer science. In this age of AI, I like that. He's going to commit himself to some computer science work there at the University of Ghana. And gone on with life at 14. We give our kids a head start like this. Isn't that fantastic? I want to say congrats to Yeshua, Hudson, his mother, his father, the entire family. It takes a village. It takes a village. I want to say congrats to all of them. Thank you, Newsroom, for that. We saw Newsroom covering that, and we thought it was such a fantastic and uplifting story to take us out the daily grudge and grind. It's good to have some good news. After UG to study computer science, folks, push your children. Fight for them. Don't give up on them. We all want to have kids like Yeshua, of course. Right? Some of us going to run the full course. Some of us going to go back 2 years and finish up on all manner of permutations where education is concerned. But don't give up. When I was done with high school, I went off and I did industrial relations and management through IDC, the extramural arm of the university. And then I went inside. I stuck around a little bit. I followed. Finished a little communications, a little law, and so on. It's the masters that really time me up now. It's the time, folks. It's the time. But you got to do what you got to do. Push your kids. Push yourself too. Don't stay back. Congrats again. I want to ring the bell one time for Yeshua and his parents and his family and the whole family tree and circle and so on. Ring the bell one time for them. Congrats to him. It takes a village. It takes a community. We show you how a lot of things start. We don't often show you how it's going. Look at this one. Remember the fire? Nobody still can tell me how this man get a lighter. How the fella got a lighter? Why the lighter the sponge? Like we don't learn this country. It's like the more contraband them boys sees, there's the more contraband going in. What's happening here? I saw some reports just brush past this like it's nothing. You see? But I think this is something. The fella almost took down the police station. One man did that to 80% of the breakdown police station. He had a wire, lighter than a sponge. We're living in a world where size don't matter. A computer chip used to be a big, big, big thing, so. Now, you could hardly see one and it could pack so much information on it. That's what you're going to study. Yeah, I better get up to scratch with the times. But they said the 2 men who were in that cell, are injured. What do you think happen when you take your lighter, the illegal lighter, and you light the sponge? But folks are commenting here on the quick action of the Ghana Fire Service. It didn't so quick the last time when 80% of the place burned down. But we're happy. At least the taking learning. You know how we say it colloquially. We taking learning. Congrats to them. Folks in the fire service making a difference. The man like the sponge. I still sick of the light part. You know how much light in prison? You know how much light in Camp Street? That's like minimum wage for the month. I should bring you all up to date with some of the things we've touched on before. I don't like the name of this operation here. Enchant. I tell them to change that. Enchanter Creek. They said the operator of the facility there apologized following the tragic drowning of these young women, the 10-year-old and the 11-year-old. Apologized. My God. Thoughts and prayers to the family. There's a lot they could say here, but I don't want to, in the spirit of this debate tonight, right? In the spirit of this debate, oh, Lord Trump getting a beating here in this poll. I'm watching it. I will show you the results just now. Trump getting a beating here. Folks, before we wrap up, I can show you the results. Right? Just want to say our thoughts and prayers with this family. Could you imagine what they must be going through? Could you imagine what they must be going through? Thoughts and prayers with them. You lose 2 kids in one day. You're celebrating a birthday. And then this is what you got to deal with. This alarm is raised, and then you realize, my God, our thoughts and prayers with this family. So that's one of the things we're looking at, folks. One of the things we're looking at, thoughts and prayers with them. Y'all be safe out there. You go to these creeks, keep your eye open. I don't like this, honest to God. I don't like a lot of people at the creek and so on. I say far from that. And even when I go with the family, my uncle and once water passed my uncle, we ain't gonna prove to nobody. You could swim and can't swim and all the fancy stuff. Right? We don't got a thing to prove to a soul. We know the whole thing. Look what the other issues we're following. Today is International Suicide Prevention Day. Right? International Suicide Prevention Day. Government aims at a holistic approach, they say, to this issue. And Guyana, as you know, has a very, very high incidence of suicide. And earlier in the day, we saw Dr. Cummins, who shadows this ministry for us, shadows this portfolio, talked about changing the narrative on suicide. Right? And this is something we all can't. I want to do it justice. We can't all understand the complexity of it. That's one of the issues that we have. It's such a complex issue. You see, people just take their life and maybe, what's for them is for them. One of the things we don't recognize in this country a lot is the sheer mental health challenge that we have. We grew up in a culture in this country that said, oh, people mad. You stigmatize that. But mental health is real. Mental health is real. They're telling us for 2024, we've already had 40 incidents of suicide. 40. So, of course, it's an issue we got to tackle head on. Tackle head on. And these things are issues we have to approach in a very bipartisan way and very, very non-political. Government says they're aiming at a holistic suicide prevention approach. I'd love to hear some more about that. Sounds very elegant. Love to hear some more about that. Mental health is real. We gotta look out for those folks who have these challenges among us. And I'm certain if you want to admit, we all have our days. We all have our days. Thoughts and prayers to all the families who would have lost loved ones like this. I can't imagine that. The pain people must feel when loved ones just take their own life. Thoughts and prayers with everybody who would have lost a loved one like that. Look what we're following at this end, folks. Cybercrime Act. The Cybercrime Act. You heard as we started our program, Cameron said you gotta watch them. You gotta watch them. Folks, Ram Karan might disagree with Ram Turan on this tendency we got to autocracy. This tendency we got to autocracy. And this is how it starts. There's a little bit of freedom taken in here. You take in the hem there. You stitch it down there. Little by little. And then you get the Venezuela in your hand. Lots of oil. Should have lots of money. Folks should be enjoying a good standard of living. But all you got is despotism. Right? Authoritarianism. That's all you have. So we're watching this. Cameron Lines with Change says, you got to watch them. We're not supporting it. Any expansion to the cybercrime legislation, the Lines for Change says, they will not support. And as we're in the Lines for Change, we heard them say recently, too much corruption in the awards of contracts. Too much corruption. Contracts being given to friends, family, and favorites. And then we also heard them talk about corruption in the Guyana police force. Persons who are found to be corrupt should be dealt with the full force of the law. Right? You was a big official there. Your wife got contract. Officers in the last 4 years, unimaginable wealth. People used to be reserved about these things. People flaunting them now. You got to see the big Rolls Royce and the Lamborghini and the Apache helicopter. You got to see the Hummer. You got to take a look and take a listen. Some of what the Lines of Change said quite recently, and the award of contracts and the corruptionism that is there, and also in the Guyana Police Force. Take a look, folks. Take a listen.
Former Works Minister David Paterson has described the Public Procurement Commission as not being the friendliest body with which to lodge a complaint.
First question they'll ask me is local standby, but I'll still, and I maintain it as every citizen of Guyana should be able to raise questions, even if you don't directly involved in a contract.
The opposition is questioning the award of many contracts, but is getting no answers. Many contracts have been questioned. There were questions about the Tipui contract for a well. The PPP had found the award to be grossly irregular. Paterson said that he proposes to question the PPC about the Schooner to Crane roadway.
Again, I don't expect the Public Procurement Commission to be forthright in that, seeing that I have several complaints before them, and I'm still awaiting a formal response. But yes, we do intend to do something on those two.
26 qualified contractors were disqualified from that road project. In the end, the contract was awarded to the least qualified contractor for a whopping $616 million more than the engineers estimate. Alliance for Change Cameron Ramchitan said that the award of contract is reminiscent of a previous award.
It reminds us, Devina, about the FIP Motilal contract to build roads, and he ain't got no company to build roads. But that is how this government operates, and then they have the gall to state that we were corrupt.
There is also the question about the performance of the non-oil sector. Almost every area has seen a decline, according to Paterson.
Sugar, 60% down, and there's no sign of recovery. Gold, I mean, all the traditional, I mean, of course, they said the non-oil sector grew by 12%. I mean, but we have to interrogate that more. I mean, because obviously, I know construction played a great role in that 12%.
He said that the dominance of the oil and gas sector is cause for concern. It accounts for 66% of the economy. There is also the foreign currency issue.
You know, despite what the government has said, there is a tremendous strain on foreign currency. I mean, they would like to tell you that that the official rate is 205. During parliamentary debate, the last day of Parliament, GPL has officially said that they're buying fuel at higher than the Bank of Guyana rate, which we find strange. They officially said they're buying at 215.
The issue of corruption in the Guyana Police Force keeps dominating conversations. Former Public Security Minister Cameron Ramchitan is insisting that corrupt policemen must be dismissed.
And we have to have investigations carried out by police service commissions to ensure that those who are supposed to protect and serve us must do so professionally, honestly, justly. What I see also as necessary is what I have been repeatedly stating, and that is the Minister of Home Affairs ought to operationalize the Public Security Committee of Parliament.
He said that the committee was created in the mold of a congressional committee. The committee has the power to demand answers and to subpoena people to appear and answer questions.
I allowed people like Robeson Ben and Gail Teixeira and Harry Gill to come and ask questions of the commissioner, the fire chief, and the prison commissioner. And they did that extensively. As a matter of fact, they even asked to go to meet, to see police stations and the very bad state they were in and around the country. All of that was allowed by that committee. Now there is a total shutdown.
He said that such scrutiny deters the activities of policemen who are involved in all manner of things.
Big amount of money, even inside. And then we get foolish excuses like that was allegedly made in the press. He recently got married and he got a lot of gifts from for his wedding. What nonsense is that? People like that should be. What would have happened to an ordinary citizen had he stolen a $5 million? A little coolie boy or a black boy stealing your money, it's larcenous. But when big money like this is taken, it's economics.
He said that there should be the activation of the criminal law provisions.
Yep. You all see how many things wrong in this country? You all see how many things wrong in this country? Like, where do you start? You get in there tomorrow and you got to spend a whole set of time cleaning up their mess all over again. All over again. We got to walk and chew gum at the same time. The Matson. Now we can head to some big figures. When we realize that the Matson for we young people. Every release of the CSAC and Cape results, we hear the same thing, the math slipping. We upside down and backward and sideways. Now they launch a big mathematics intervention program. I'm happy. They're doing something. When all else fails, management thinkers will tell you, try something. Try something. You know? Your boy Saddam. Saddam says he never used to support it before as a concept. But he has hopes now that it will yield significant improvements. This is the mathematics program that they're launching now, hoping to bring down the failure grade. Matson. You know, let's see where it goes. It's strange, you know, in this election, as we get into this election cycle, the amount of things you're seeing for the first time. 4 years they had, not interested in improving the numbers, not interested in the least bit. Suddenly it's giddy up. Giddy up down the road. You watching it? Wish them the best with that, folks. Not a big number. Listen. If I get into some enterprises, or you're in an enterprise and you see you suffering some losses, get out there, man. What are you waiting for? Get out. We're looking for. But before we get to that story, look story here now. You know, at Swan on the East Bank, on the Linden Suicide Highway, them boys said open a health center. But you can't see this health center. I saw one photograph. Right? Some folks shared with me. Said, this can't be $44 million. You know? It's like one of the chicken coop houses on the East Bank. People want to come around, you're funny and say, this is 50 million. We're still looking for the health. I'm happy the folks at Swan can get some relief. Hopefully, you know, for $44 million, something better be happening there. But we gotta go and take a look for ourselves and see, you know, if this $44 million health center is up to scratch, because we're being told, no. This could never, you know, never, even though building materials and so on, sky high, thanks to these boys, the high cost living in this country, there can be $44 million. So we've seen a door, we've seen a window, and another photograph. But you can't get a sense of the entire building officially. Check their pages. Then they're not publishing an outside view of this health center. It's corruptionism, that's what they like to say. Just talking about. And you gotta watch them. Right? So that's one big number there, $44 million. Look at this fella here. I don't know him. He decided, apparently, according to what we saw in the press, Raymond Tennis. Right? He's convicted recently for drug trafficking. He's been given 3 years, and now he has to pay an $8.8 million fine. That's what I was referring to. Kind of preempted it. If I find a little business and I find I have to pay this amount of money, you know, this thing making sense, right? Now, this is now your area of expertise. Bow out and make a beeline someplace else. Well, now Tennis got a little time on his hand to reflect on his actions there. $8.8 million fine. You see? Them buy some, well, not necessarily him. I don't know him. You know, you got some hardcore people say, I can take another chance, like a lottery. You don't got a ticket, you don't got a chance. You don't got a door, you don't got a chance. I can take another 8.8 million. Make a be like out of it. Not being said, folks, we're wrapping up to head after that. Historic debate's gonna happen in a couple. As we talk about the cost of living, how everything's sky high in this country, the PNCR recently waded into this whole conversation and saying a lot of things were absent from the Ministry of Finance mid-year report. And I really like to thank Elson for walking through these issues in such a way that we all can understand. A lot of things he said missing from this mid-year report. And that is why the Guyanese people are no better off than they were a year ago. No better off. Take a look and take a listen. It's the closer, good folks. The closer.
Treasurer of the People's National Congress Reform, Elson Lowe, has said that the mid-year report is silent on a number of issues.
The report is definitely silent on the progress, if any, on reducing Guyana's food import bill. As is known, Guyana has committed to the CARICOM-wide effort of reducing food imports by 25% by 2025. Guyana's role in this endeavor is twofold: A, reducing its own food imports, and B, increasing food exports to the CARICOM. The mid-year report provides no update even as 2025 looms large.
The report suggests that the national economy grew by nearly 50%. At the same time, oil revenue flowed at a rate of hundreds of millions of dollars per month.
Why can't Guyanese see a significant increase in their income? The recent teacher strike and negotiations are an example of this paradoxical situation. The government must surely have known these were the growth numbers for the first half of the year, yet they stuck to a salary increase number so anemic, teachers have been left bitterly disappointed.
Lowe said that given the figures, the non-oil sector should have performed better.
To create a booming non-oil economy, however, would require new and wide-ranging approaches, none of which is in place on the PPP regime. For example, infrastructure spending has to be more directed towards boosting production and productivity. Access to credit has to be made easier and cheaper. Access to land has to be simplified and depoliticized. Disposable income has to be increased several times. Corruption must be tamed.
He said that the Ministry of Finance speaks of the fiscal risks facing the economy.
And its list of 5 such risks, however, completely ignores several major risks. That is, the tens of billions of dollars lost to corruption, poor planning, and mismanagement. The more the government spends, the more this loss escalates. For the PPP, such losses do not constitute a profit.
Lowe said that there is no evidence that the government is heeding the IMF recommendations for a strong and effective financial management system.
The mid-year report makes no mention of the need for any supplementary budgets. This most likely reflects the fact that the government's planning process, such as it is haphazard and spur of the moment. The PPP's mid-year report makes no difference to the lives of Guyanese.
All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We hope that you're seeing at your end the results of that poll. They're telling us here that those persons who said they're backing Trump, 7 of you, 3% of those persons who responded to the poll, and those persons backing Harris, 97%. Yep, 258 of you say you're backing Harris. Yep, 97%. That's a blowout. That's a blowout for Harris, folks. Let us head off now, Imelda and Raquel, to that debate, folks. And that debate, we'll discuss in the morning how it goes. See, Ferris, Pride, and Lester, Elderly and Renella, Pretty Milicia, and Helen Collins. A good evening to each and every one of you folks. Have a fantastic rest of the night. That's our time, good folks. And a wonderful evening. Take care, folks. Gloria Pod and Helen, Carla, and Raquel. Auntie Sandra, good to see you there. Have a great evening. Stay safe.